You know, and up until that time, I thought that that only happened in Arkansas. But it doesn't. It happened in Surrey, and it happened in West Vancouver. Well, it was a bizarre experience, but through it, I met David Marley, who spoke earlier, who is a throwback to the days when political public service actually meant something. My personal experience was interesting to say the least, but one of the truths I learned through it was that no political party owns Canadian values. For example, as much as they like to think it, the Liberal Party of Canada do not own the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The NDP does not own Medicare. The Conservatives don't have a corner on fiscal responsibility, and the Greens certainly don't own the environment. We do. Fair-minded Canadians own all these values, and more, we don't care about political parties. What we care about is getting things done and electing people who are going to get them done. We don't care what political stripes or colors we wear, and that is why our political initiative, our FEATBC political initiative, is capturing the attention it is, because it speaks to a fundamental expectation that is so lacking in party politics in Canada today, and that is efficacy. Who's going to work for us? The former Deputy Minister of Social Services for Prince Edward Island, John Green, wrote in the Charlottetown Guardian, and I quote, "Within the political spectrum of this province and country, there is no natural bound containing children. They can only get on the political agenda by exception, and then only through sustained action by parents who have the energy and skill to keep attention focused on children with special needs." I'd like every parent to raise their hand, please. Thank you. Now look around the room. We're surrounded by family, friends, neighbors, and colleagues who are standing with us and saying, "This is not my Canada. We are no longer in this fight alone. Take comfort in it." And our message and the momentum is growing. In November 2006, Roxanne Black, Jennifer Ralph, and I went to Ottawa to mark the first anniversary of the Autism Supreme Court decision. While there, we attended a rally, held a press conference, and met numerous Ontario parents who were on the same page as us, seeking Medicare coverage for autism. Last May, Roxanne, David, and I launched our Feet Goes Coastal Tour. We returned to Ottawa, stopped in Toronto, and concluded in Halifax, where we had an event similar to this with 100 people who attended from all over the Maritimes. Harold Doherty was one of them. People from Prince Edward Island came by bus. There were 30 of them, but it was the same message, Medicare for Autism Now. And all these families and supporters and activists outside of BC have heard the message, are getting active, and are getting organized and getting ready. Last September, we had a fundraising event at Capone's. 50% of the participants there were not parents. A further example of what I've just said. David Marley and I conducted a campaign school about a month ago in Surrey, all in the effort to organize and ramp up for the next federal election. Those schools are ongoing. We made a trip to Vancouver Island, and we'll do the same when we go to Parry Sound, Muskoka, and other ridings in Ontario at the end of April. Something I personally learned in my involvement, particularly in the Otten and Hugo litigations, is that the power of parents who are focused on a single issue is extremely effective and powerful. Well, now we are focusing our power on this initiative from coast to coast. We're joined by parents like Harold Doherty in New Brunswick, Stéphane Marigny in Toronto, and many others. Our momentum needs to keep going for success. And for success, We need you to help. Everyone needs to do a little bit. As David mentioned, if you live in one of the target Surrey ridings, please contact Louise Witt and let her know how you can help. There's lots to do. If you're not in a target riding, contact us anyway. You can send emails, you can write letters to the editor, and most of all, don't leave without seeing Deborah Antefave. Where is she? Deborah Antefave. Deborah Antefave. Step right up here, please. I want to make sure people know who you are. All right. This is Deborah Antefave. Deborah Antefave is collecting donations. And she's also been selling 50-50 tickets, which we'll let you draw in a few minutes when I'm finished. Oh, okay. All right. But as someone said already, money is the mother's milk of politics, and we do need financial help. I guess finally, too, parents, there's some truths, final truths that you need to own. And I guess the most important one is, our children are worthy of treatment. They're as worthy as anybody else for the medical treatment they need. And what's changed is we, the parents, are no longer supplicants, waiting and hoping that our government and its bureaucrats will show us mercy. Those days are over. We are Canadian citizens and voters who have reasonable expectations, which have steadfastly been ignored, or worse, taunted. What was the response of Health Minister Tony Clement to our reasonable request? He calls us radical extremists. What was the previous Liberal government's response? Well, Paul Martin, when he was the Prime Minister, sent a legion, and I mean a legion, of lawyers to the Supreme Court of Canada to intervene against our children's access to health care. Unbelievable. We have learned from these valuable truths, and the choice is ours. Be victims or engage in the political process. In 30 years of advocacy, only 2 initiatives have achieved any success for our children: litigation, and more recently, political action. Both brought by the volunteer parents of FEATBC. That's all of us. So now it's time to step up again. Our children's future and the next generations depend on our choice, and we all know that too many children and their families have been sacrificed by silence and political indifference. Too many have paid a price that is far too high. We need to expect better, and we will elect better. Martin Luther King has already been quoted today, and I'll end with this. Justice delayed is justice denied. FEATBC's motto is to see that justice is done, because treatment is our children's right and our solemn obligation. Thank you for listening.
It's an important afternoon of